Okay, you've decided that your immersion needs changing. You need to drain the cylinder. Now, there are two types of cylinder. There is top entry and there is bottom entry. This one here is bottom entry. As you can see, the immersion is there at the bottom. And the one that this camera is sitting on is top entry. Due to my camera skills, we'll come on to the differences in draining them in a moment. But basically, each one of them you're going to need to drain from the drain valve. It will be at the bottom. This one, in fact, should be in there. I have no idea why it didn't have one, but there we are. They all look fairly similar to this. They don't all have quite such a big nut at the top, but look, the basics are the same. You undo it, like so, and nothing comes out. And what's happened is the little rubber washer at the end there's got stuck up there. Yay! So that's the first thing that's going to happen. As you take that out, this little jet of water will come squirting out like that. Whoosh! Great fun. So you are stuck with a thing that you can't put back in, because when you do it, it'll smash the washer up, because that will have gone all hard and crunchy. And you're stuck without being able to drain it, without waiting for like 3 or 4 hours. What do? Okay, so you put your hose pipe on the end and you make sure your hose pipe is going downhill. Now we'll talk about fancy ways of doing this in a minute, but you make sure your hose pipe is going downhill. Even if that means you've just got to put a bucket underneath it. You don't need to take an awful lot of water out at this point. All you want to do is get that bloody washer gone, okay? So what you're doing is you're going to get down low, and you're going to come in on the edge of the washer with a sharp screwdriver and poke it out, just yonk it out. By the way, the moment it does this, it's going to whoosh, not hugely fast because there's not much pressure here, there's only the height of the tank, but there's quite a flow. Because you see, look, there's quite a flow through there. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in the edge. Sometimes it takes a bit of doing. You may need to go from the top, from the bottom, from the side, By the way, you can quite easily get a flood here, but this is the only real way of doing it. You've got no other way. And even once you've undone that, the likelihood of you getting that back in and it not leaking is just not. Because what happens is this little mushroom here, as it pulls out through the washer, just rips out through the washer, it cracks the washer, so even when you do it back up again, it still bloody leaks. The moment you take that out, you're in trouble. So, you get in, you dig around, and you get that washer out. It'll probably come out in chunks, or if it only comes out to here, you're alright, don't worry. What you can do is get a bit of PTFE, or some Vaseline, or some plumber's mate, and just get that back in just a little bit with some stickiness around there, to stop it leaking, because there's not much pressure. So even if your washer's kind of still jammed up here, at the point where you've got enough flow coming out of there, let it be, put that in, you can work it out when it's fully drained. So that's these. By the way, you're going to need a new washer. You can get them, again, Plumbers Merchant, B&Q, anything like that. Or you could cut one out of a bit of rubber. Doesn't really matter. It's not needing to open and close like a tap washer, so you could make one out of a decent bit of rubber if you wanted to. At a pinch, you could wrap PTFE around the little spigot, but I wouldn't advise that. Anyway, so that's that. That's getting it out. If you really have trouble, go into the middle of the hole where that came out of. Go into the middle of the hole and try and pick it across, or you can get yourself a little bit of bent wire and try pushing it through the middle of that and yonking it out. There's loads of different ways of getting it out, but basically you're going to struggle with that. Hey, if you're lucky, it might have come out with it. It won't have. Right, okay, so let's talk about actually draining these cylinders, okay? Now, for God's sake, don't just turn the tap off and expect the bloody thing to be empty when the tap stops running. It doesn't work like that. Not in any way, shape or form. So, let's talk about the two different types. There is this one, where you're going to have to drain. You see, what happens is water only comes out of the cylinder when water comes in at the bottom. Imagine a bucket overflowing. That's the way this works. So when you stop the water supply, no water comes in at the bottom, there, so no water comes out at the top, but it is still full. So if you've got one of these, isn't top and it's bottom, you've got all that water in there. There's a lot of it. Here as well, same thing. It's all that. It's a funky cylinder, this one, but still. Anyway, so this is the easy type, top entry. These are easy. You can actually stop it Depends how much pipe work comes off the top here. By the way, all professional video makers have hay bales in the background. It's just the way it is. Right, so what you can do is you can, if it's this tight, turn the water off, run the tap until it stops running, and then you can just loosen this. You're going to get a bit of water out of here, but it's not a cylinder full, it's just the pipe work full. And you can catch it with a cloth, and you can do it from there. Ideally you drain it, but you can do that with these. With those, you can't. So, top entry, because you're only draining down to here, you see, that's all you've got to drain down to, is just to there. So you haven't got to lose much water. Okay, this one here. By the way, this can take an hour to drain, easily. So let's talk about some tricks on draining, okay? Now, if this is upstairs, you get this hose pipe and you hang it out the window. The further down the hose pipe runs, the better the suction effect from siphoning. Now, bear in mind, with siphoning, let's take, for example, this port here, okay? That port there, it should have one of those in it. So imagine that's there. We're draining from there. And oh, look, the windowsill level is there. Uh-oh. Can't go uphill, can it? Well, yes, it can, actually. What you can do is you can connect your hose pipe here, run it up and over the windowsill, for example. This is another cylinder. And then, so long as it's below the level of that, you can siphon it through. Now, the way to siphon this, if you don't want to get your gob around it and suck on the hose pipe, the way to do it is to let it fill. So let's get your thing connected. Let the hose pipe fill on the floor with a little bucket at the other end. And then when it starts to come out the other end of the hose pipe, so you've got your big pile of hose pipe on the floor, like that, and when it's all full, grab a handful of hose pipe and toss it all out the window. What that does then is you basically fill the hose pipe and throwing it out the window, it draws the water down. It will suck the hose pipe sort of flat, that's fine, leave it be. It's still doing its job. The better suction you've got, the better it's going to be. It will take a while to empty. You will be amazed at how long it takes. Stick with it, you have no choice. Okay, other things that are worth saying. Sometimes you will find that crud is built up in the bottom of these and it blocks. So crud is built up right to the level in here. So there's actually lime scale and stuff blocking it. That'll take a long time to cut, to drain. There's some tricks with that. Cut a short piece of hose pipe. Loop it up so it's above the water level here. So cut the piece of hose pipe, loop it up so it's above the water level there, so there's no water coming out to you. So it's up here and down to that, down and connected to the port down there, and then blow down it. What you're doing there is you're just whooshing all the lime scale out of the way. Bear in mind, you will pressurize the tank and you will get a gobful, but these are advanced techniques. You won't actually have seen your plumber doing this because he wouldn't let you see it, but it's what a few will do. Right, okay, so that is draining the tank. There's no real other options. Oh, there is others, by the way. No drain port. What you could do is you could get yourself a piece of copper pipe, or you can get this, if you get the top connection off, a piece of copper pipe or a something like that, because 15mm copper goes easily into these, and you could into hose pipe and you could get that down and siphon it out from there. Never ever try taking that out and putting a bucket underneath it, because it just will not work. I don't care how big your bucket is, that's a 3-inch hole, and water flow through a 3-inch hole would amaze you. Some tips, by the way, if you whip off one of these wires live and touch the cylinder, you can easily blow a hole in it, and that's an unexpected loss of water. You'll enjoy that. Okay, next video we'll look at how to get an immersion element out. Cheers for now.